Today I'm presenting another bit of RC history. This time it's on the Bill Evans Simitar 540 and a few other of his unique flying wing designs. As you can see, I've flown just about every kind of flying wing you can think of, but the Astron 40X wing and the Simitar 540 were and still are my favorites. While I was working at Craft RC Radio Control Systems, I met up with Bill Evans and I wound up taking some promotional shots of his twin Scimitar with my daughter for an upcoming article in RCM magazine. At that point, I wound up getting pretty involved with his 15 size X-Wing, and then I became totally obsessed with the Astron 40X wing. All of mine had a rudder also, and they'd just do amazing knife edges. I had many different versions of the X-Wings, and all of them had wheels hanging down, giving me an idea. Well, I'd been flying out to Omaha each year to fly Pattern 3D in the National Multiwing Championships, and I did pretty well using my Lou Andrews Aeromasters. But because the Astron X-Wing was a legal biplane, I decided to take one and try that. So with friends from the club helping me build and paint a special X-Wing with a retractable nose wheel and tiny built-in wingtip wheels on suspension, I showed up with a plane looking like it was right out of the future. The rest is history, although some of the old biplane purists balked at it. I just said technology moves forward, not backward, and went on ahead and placed 6. The following year, Bill Evans himself and I flew out to both enter the contest. This time we really had pretty X-Wings to show off, and Bill's standby orange one he flew in the contest flew great. Well, not only did Bill demonstrate the X-Wing at the halftime show, but he being quite the entertainer, when it was his turn to fly in the event, he just simply abandoned the pattern maneuvers I was calling out and began simply punching holes in the sky like a bullet. Well, this was Bill's style, and I remember him laughing like mad as he showed his baby off. That's Bill. So after coming all this way, now it's up to me to try and get the trophy. And I did. I took 4th, and I was real proud of that because I was up against some real top-notch pilots. Well, here's I'm getting a little support from my wife. Note the AMA number on my plane. It starts with a 9, because all AMA numbers started with 9 back then, and when the AMA got too big, they dropped the 9, and we charter members wound up with our 4-digit charter member identifier. Well, after returning to California, Bill wrote this article for RCM magazine, which featured a lot of my planes. Well, I went back to California and back to work and began flying more and more Bill Evans airplanes. Well, the success to his flying wing designs are actually due to his airfoil, which he has designed with upper reflex built in. One of the most versatile planes of this that was really fun to fly was the Zippity Doodah. You may have seen that in one of my recent videos where I resurrected that one too. I began using it to perfect my launching ramp and a resting cable, which were sandbags and a string supported off the ground by foam cups. Worked pretty good too. But you know, I just kept coming back to the Scimitar. I had some pretty fancy ones, and one I even built out of coral plastic. More and more folks around in our club began flying Bill Evans models and flying wings. As you can see here, Andy Borgona and his son Greg. Then Frank Johnson decided he could build something weird, which he did, and that was what he called it, the weird one. It was a little pitchy, but for sure, it was weird and pretty all at once to see in the sky. The original Simitars had fiberglass fuselages, and they're now extinct, and you could still get the balsa build-up version. Well, my good friend Hal still had one and wanted me to fly it, and of course we always flew under the wires when challenged, and yep, I hit one, breaking the motor off, sending it into Neverland, now buried under the school. We like to fly under those wires. Well, other than the rudder getting broken off and the motor mount, it was in pretty good shape. And just before Hal died, he gave it to me, and today I decided to resurrect it in his honor. So here we go. The first thing I did was break in the engine. My friend Bob from Wild Bob's RC got me a good deal on the OS 46 engine, so I just couldn't resist using it. It has bigger mounts than the 40, so the Scimitar had to be modified to accept it. I'm using the Antique Craft KPS 14.2 throttle and steering servos, the 2 Futaba 148 Elevon servos, and a Hobby King orange receiver. I'm also using the Spectrum DX6i, a JR 1500 milliamp receiver battery, and a Hobbyco Volt Watch battery monitor. And here's a walk-around look at the plane before we fly. You know, I'm purposely running this new OS46AX engine sloppy rich just to break it in on this first flight. It's time. Let's land and lean them out.
Tiny bit more lean out. Let's go. That baby is leaned out now.
Okay, this is fun. One more time. What could go wrong?
The Scimitar flies again.
I love it. I'm going to make an electric one now. Call me, Bill.